Today I'm in Taunton, the county town of Somerset in the southwest of the UK. And I've come to the old cemetery. The first thing you notice is that it's next to the A38, so there's a lot of traffic noise running past this cemetery, and in fact through the cemetery, because over the road there I see some more memorials, although it looks as though most of them have been cleared. I've not been here before, so we're just going to have a walk around and have a look at some of the stones. As soon as we come in, we notice a number of these war memorials. The Commonwealth Graves Commission, and you see a number there stretching up through the graveyard. We'll pick out one or two as we go. One here to C.F. Fry in the Royal Army Service Corps, who was just 18 in 1944. And beneath the cross, midway down, we see the 4 lines of words: thoughts go back to bygone days, life moves on but memory stays. Those are the words that the relatives would have paid extra to have engraved on the standard war memorial stone. And here is another one. Appropriately, D.H. Sydenham was of the Somerset Light Infantry. Here he was aged just 21, and you see beneath there the 5 lines that the family would have added: unseen, unheard, but always near, to live in the hearts of those we love is not to die. This one is to L.C. Wood, who was on board HMS Hunter 1947, and beneath there has been added that his brother Percy was drowned while a prisoner in Japanese hands in 1943. And another memory of the war here: Ivor Coles, sapper in the Royal Engineers, killed on active service in Kent 1940. And beneath that is Sergeant William Coles, who died of wounds received in France. There's this tall one here with a cross, and if we go into the inscription at the bottom, we see it's Roger Norman Hillsden, Pilot Officer, RAF VR, 1944, age 21. There are other names on the other faces of this octagonal base. A nicely done monument here, and we have a figure here of Christ as the Good Shepherd, and he is carrying a lamb in his arms, and there's presumably the mother ewe down at his feet. That's not a design of monument we see very often. Here we have one of a young angel, quite unusually dressed, with a sort of sash across the chest. If we go down to the inscription, our darling boy David Alfred George, aged 14 months. I don't think he would have been walking at 14 months. That looks rather an older angel than 14 months. Anyway, that's how he's remembered here. This memorial also has the angel. She's carrying, looks like 2 bouquets, or a wreath in one hand and a bouquet of flowers in the other. Rather nicely done. Good example of the stonemason's craft. And the memorial down here is to Ernest John Moore, 1938. Interesting thing about this memorial is at the top here we've got this eagle. No clear reference as to why this stone has a eagle. It's something a little different. Here's one that's quite unusual. It's in memory of Gerald Thomas William, the only child, passed away aged 13 years and 4 months. But alongside the image is of somebody in what appears to be Boy Scout uniform. Something a little bit different. This is a more modern stone. The heart shape is becoming quite popular nowadays, but interestingly enough, at the top of the stone we have this emblem, number 13 in Roman characters, and a bugle, and the word in the top says Jellabad, Jellabad. There's a delightful statue here of a young boy, picked out quite nicely. You can see the collar, you can see the belt, and even the shoes. And it's in loving memory of John Russell Sully, who was aged 4 years and 9 months back in 1937. So that monument has stood the test of time. Another one here to a child, Mark Anstey, who was aged 8 years. But the interesting image here on the right hand side, presumably his mother in mourning, her head thrown back, seated, and there is a cross in the background there. A simple stone here, interesting first name, Keturah, and Teresa Collier, but no dates, no ages, just the names and a little epitaph beneath. Another interesting example of a stone with this angel with the wings and the wreath of flowers, and underneath you can see her foot protruding out with the big toe turned in. And this is to Rosa Holloway, died in 1937, aged 49. Good example of monumental mason's work. Looming over this grave, which has become covered in this cotoneaster, is this figure here. I'm guessing that's probably the Virgin Mary, maybe an angel. And another mournful looking angel, head down. But again, at the bottom of the gown, you may not be able to see it on the video, the foot is protruding. And a more modern version of the same thing in white marble. I've come to a little group here of 5 Air Force graves. The 2 at the front are particularly interesting. This one here is a flying officer, Royal Air Force. Nationality is not given. The right is a stone with the names of 2 Polish airmen, and still clearly commemorated with the flowers and candles at the base. Behind them are 3 stones. This is R.A. Partridge, a pilot in the Royal Air Force. Here we have E.H. Francis, a pilot in the Royal Air Force. And here we have Flight Sergeant Swan of the Royal Australian Air Force. This one is to memories of my dear husband, Roy George Williams, 1949, age 26. Always thinking of you until we meet again. And we've got this angel hanging over the top of what looks like an open book. Well, that's it for this side of the graveyard, this side of the A38. Nothing really spectacular in size here, but still a very Interesting little graveyard. Let's go and see what's over the other side of the road. Well, as you can see, this side has been cleared and turned into more of a parkland. Most of the stones have been removed. We'll have a look around and see what we can see. One or two little larger monuments left standing. This one here is a quite massive block of stone, and at the bottom it says Augusta Elizabeth, the relict of the Reverend Robert Gardner. And a tall obelisk here to the MacLean family. In the foreground we have three of the war graves, and looking into the parkland we can see some bigger memorials. A big chest tomb here, and the surname is Holden. Another large tomb here with a detailed inscription on the end, although much of it is now disappearing. I see the words Trinity College, Cambridge, and it's Richard Pike, Mate, MA. As a piece of parkland with some lovely mature trees, it's very pleasant. As a graveyard with interesting memorials, it rather falls down on that front. Standing here shoulder to shoulder are two more war graves. Slightly different design of stone. Rather than having an arc at the top, these are slightly pointed, with the words Portugal very prominently written at the top, and the two names of people who died. Both died in October 1918, one on the 3rd and one on the 10th. Well, I'm going to call that a halt now. This second part of the graveyard, probably the older part, is an absolute picture with the trees. But it's very sad that they've removed the large majority of memorials. We pan round, we can see the busy road that splits the two halves of the graveyard, and we can see across to the first part, the one where the stones are all present. Well, that's it for Taunton. Till the next time.